my name is Tristan Heanue and I'm a filmmaker from Ireland, from Connemara, the west coast of Ireland. I'm here with the project called Harvest, which is a short film that we made in December, just as the country opened up from lockdown, and it follows a farmer who's struggling with his mortality after having a near-fatal heart attack. So it was a project we've been working on for a while. It got funding from, in Ireland we have these, in every county, we have these small kind of €10,000 funds where you can send your script, and if you win you have to go and make your film in that, so there'll be like one in Cologne, one in Berlin. If you won the Berlin one, you would go and shoot your film there. So we won this one in a place called Kerry, which is on the kind of west southwest coast of Ireland, and we went down and shot it there in December, just before we locked down again. We opened up, we shot it, and then we locked down for 6 months. So it was good to work on that during lockdown. It was nice to have something to work on.
Was there some challenges that the pandemic did it affect the production at all?
It did initially, because the film was meant to shoot in March 2020, and then it got cancelled obviously because COVID, and the film was actually very different, and the film then changed kind of in the middle, quite a bit, did some script changes and that, and I feel it became a lot better, from having that extra time. So it was kind of, at the time it seemed like an inconvenience, but in hindsight it gave me a lot more time to prepare and work on the story more, and get my actors and get everything. So when we opened up in December, there was still, because we had just opened up from lockdown, people were a little bit like relaxed, so it wasn't too bad. And we had a big scene in a live cattle mart where people were still kind of wearing masks, but thankfully you don't really notice it in the film. So challenges wise, it was pretty easy, because everyone was a little bit relaxed because we'd just come out of a lockdown. Numbers were low and everyone was a little bit like, yay, So yeah, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too challenging at all, really, actually.
Why did you make the film? What inspired you to make this film?
It had a lot to do with my father. I guess, like my father's a farmer. He would have had heart issues as well, and he sold his cattle for the last time a few years ago. He'd been a cattle farmer all his life, and it was just kind of seeing the effect that had on him. That was the seed of it, and it just kind of developed from there with research and stuff. And I wanted to do a piece about a man struggling to come to terms with, having to let go of the things he's done all his life, and after this heart attack, thinking about his mortality for the first time and coming so close to death, and how that affects his wife, the thought of losing him again, the fear, and all the anxieties that come along with that, a man kind of grappling with his mortality for the first time, and that was the seed of it.
What inspired you to make movies in the first place? What got you into filmmaking?
I began as an actor, but I didn't start acting until I was 30. So I was quite old when I got, I guess by acting standards, 30 was quite old. But I had, there used to be quite a lot of films made in the west coast of Ireland. A lot of kind of big epic films came to shoot there. So I got a job working on a film called Tristan and Isolde. This movie, it had Henry Cavill and James Franco and all these guys working on it. So I got a job on that for like 7 weeks as James Franco's double, and I was kind of working as a kind of AD in between as well. So I was like doubling for him, then doing AD work and working with extras and kind of just running around the film set. And I was like, whoa, this is kind of cool. I'd love to, I love the buzz of being on set and watching the directors and watching the actors, and that was the first seed of it. So I was thinking, God, I'd like to try, I'd like to act. And then I went to Dublin with the intention of saving money to go acting. But I got working in construction, and you start getting a decent paycheck from building work, and I never walked away from it until we had the economic crash in 2008, 2009, and all the construction jobs were lost, and I was like 29 and I had no job or anything, and I was like, okay, I'm going to try acting. And that's where I started acting, and then I started writing when I was 32, because I went through a period of no work. So I was getting these scripts and I was kind of thinking, God, they weren't very good. I was like, I think I could write better, So I wrote a couple of shorts, and I just started writing shorts until one of and a director I'd worked with, I always sent them to him, and he was like, no, this one is good. There's something in this, and that was my short called In This Place, and that premiered at the Galway Film Fleadh. It won a couple of awards and played at some big festivals, and then I directed my first short the year after that, and it won the Galway Film Fleadh, and that was kind of the way it happened. It was kind of organic enough, It wasn't. I never like grew up as a child. I grew up on a farm, really remote on the west coast by the Atlantic Ocean. There was no thoughts of being a filmmaker or an actor or anything like that. So it was only in my early 20s when I started watching kind of independent cinema, British cinema, Ken Loach, Shane Meadows, that I kind of got interested in them kind of stories. And then when I worked on a film set was the first time I was like, whoa, this is a cool energy and atmosphere, and watching actors and directors and even choreographing the extras and just the buzz, run around with the walkie-talkie. It was like, I was like, oh, this could be, but still it was very far away. It was a very far away kind of thought for, a farmer's son from Connemara.
What were the first big challenges or problems you ran into when you decided to make your own films?
I was very lucky in the sense that I met a great, my first short I produced myself, and that it just was received very well. It was received very well by anybody that saw it, and it was, people thought it was very different. It was very raw kind of, and that was probably because I hadn't a clue what I was doing. There was no thought process to our constraints or structures I was working towards. I wrote the script on paper initially. So then my second short, I managed to get quite a big television star to star in it, and I decided not to act. I was going to direct it. And once he came on board, he was in a huge TV show. Once he came on board, everyone was like, oh, what do you need? People started giving me stuff for free. I got a producer who came and financed it. And that won the Galway Film Festival. And then, so that was my first directorial. And then the next one, again, it was like the producer came on board. We got some money from someone else, and tiny budgets. We were shooting these on €3,000, so it's not like I was getting big budgets. But the goodwill and people I met, I seemed to meet really great people early on, great crew members who were dedicated, who trusted me and who gave me everything. People I still work with, who just, I seem to, I can say it was luck, but you have to be a good judge of character as well. And I met some really incredible people early on that I still work with, who were so generous with their time and their talent. And so it's not easy because it's still a load of work. But when I think of great challenges, the main challenges were just trying to keep myself motivated and keep myself, writing when times like that. But the external stuff I always had great help and great people to get the projects over the line. And I guess I came from working on construction sites as a labourer, digging and terrible stuff, that this didn't seem hard to me. It seemed like I kept my hands clean, and it was, just surrounding myself with really good people that I trust has been a key thing for me, Same cinematographer for years, and people I really trust, and same editor who've just, I'd be lost without them,